you save some pizza for us?
Did anybody else grow up thinking that being a ninja was someday going to be a legitimate occupation? The 90s lied to us.
No, that's diarrhea.
I, for one, was a fan of the more adult-oriented ninja movies as a kid, as my dad was also way into that stuff, and what better time than the early 90s, right? Now, don't get me wrong, I was a kid. I liked Ninja Turtles and shit like that. And it might be with the release of the sequel, Secret of the Ooze, when these kid-friendly ninja romps took hold. Well, Secret of the Ooze and the Home Alone film simultaneously, and we got a lot of weird shit. Yet none of these movies would ever have taken off as much as they did without one franchise hitting big and thereby releasing a floodgate of imitators. A near flawless ninja classic that spawned 3 sequels and a lasting legacy till this very day. Of course, I'm talking 3 Ninjas. Watching this again recently, I was so shocked to see how involved the plot is. Here with the 3 ninjas, we get a harrowing story involving our 3 courageous underage ninjas, aptly named Rocky, Colt, and Tum Tum, who receive their new alter egos after a yearly visit with their badass geriatric mogwai peddling ninja grandpa. But not before fending off a ninja attack, as this badass ninja guy is being pursued by the 3 ninjas' father, of course, an FBI agent, and accidentally gets his own kids involved in a kidnapping scheme. But little did they know, they're dealing with some serious kick-ass ninja badasses.
They're 3 kids spending the summer with their grandfather, learning the ways of the ninja.
Mind, body, spirit are one.
But through the eyes of impressionable 90s kids, this was everything. There was no need to mutate in a sewer or hang out with a giant rat if you wanted to be a rich white kid ninja. Attainable goals, people. Rule 1 of the ninja way. And damn, we didn't know it at the time, but we were seeing the first film in a franchise, as we will get 3 goddamn sequels to this flick. Based on receipts alone, 3 Ninjas was a huge hit for Touchstone Pictures, aka Disney. But there were some more compromises to be made. But pretty much when Disney got their hands on it, a lot of re-editing went down. You can't really tell in the final film, but some of the stuff slipped through, some weapons slipped through, but overall all the violence is taken out or whatever. But they still didn't have much hope in this little film, so they kind of just gave it to the Touchstone banner, and the thing was quietly released. And it hit big, especially on video. And I'm sure by this point, Disney were kicking themselves in the head for not branding it as one of their own. But at the same time, they may have kind of dodged a bullet. There's really no way around it. Kids are in danger in this movie. But either way, Disney would sell off the rights after the first film, and the rest of the films would be produced under the Columbia TriStar banner. And the sequels would even be released out of order, so it makes for a strange affair, as part 3 came out as part 2, confusing things, with the cast changing seemingly for no reason by flip-flopping the second and third installment. So it's all a little weird, but then they all just throw it out of the window anyways with the 4th film, High Noon at Mega Mountain, which is the installment I think is the best shot and overall the best looking film of the bunch. Again, we'll get to that one eventually, but it all started with this little ninja movie that could. What's up, guys? Future Staunch here from the Editing Bay. And I somehow completely missed that 3 Ninjas is sort of a pseudo remake. I had no idea. I went ahead and watched the movie. There's a lot of similarities here, but overall, I wouldn't say it's a straight up remake, but they were definitely inspired by this thing. When it comes to the titular ninjas, they absolutely nailed it. While the main cast were essentially nobodies in Hollywood, their respective fields of karate competition, they were all kicking ass, absolutely. The oldest of the bunch, Rocky, well, he does a great job overall. And I don't know what kind of acting classes these kids had to go through or whatever, but they actually had some chemistry with each other. And here, in Rocky's case, there's some real leader quality and whatnot, although the kid never really went on to do much. And with the middle child, Colt, who's played by Max Elliott Slade, well, he was cast and was the only actor to appear in the initial trilogy in all 3 films. It was Slade actually who kind of recommended the name change from Pony to Colt, as it was originally Pony. I didn't know that. But hey, I'm glad they changed it to Colt because he is one iconic character. And while he did appear in the first 3 films, he did not make it to Mega Mountain. None of these little bastards did. But again, in my opinion, Colt is the most effective here. And maybe because I got more familiar with him over the course of the 3 films, I don't know. But also, his kind of bad boy rebel take on the character plays well off his other brothers. And Max Elliott Slade himself was a brown belt, and it was kicking ass himself by the age of 11, as well as acting. I mean, he was really the only one of the 3 to keep in the business for a little while there. He would of course play young Steve Martin in Parenthood, and then later be in the TV adaptation of that show as a different character. So it's kind of weird. He was involved in this Ron Howard Parenthood universe, and then he popped up in Apollo 13, another Ron Howard property. So he was a Ron Howard boy. What can you say? As for Tum Tum, played here by the awesomely named Chad Power, he was also, again, killing it at karate. And I'm guessing nothing much else because his acting career is extremely limited. But these days, he's still kicking some ass only in the poker world. Good for him. But I mean, as a kid, Tum Tum was definitely everybody's favorite pre-diabetic ninja. And he does shine on screen. The rest of the film's cast would be an assortment of grade A character actors like Victor Wong, taking a break from selling mogwai and fighting off graboids in order to put his grandkids in mortal danger multiple times. In fact, Victor Wong appears in all 4 installments of the franchise, and in the original film here, he actually did all of his own stunts and fighting. We would also be graced with the screen presence of the mighty Clifton Powell, fresh off a deep cover, and just before becoming a hood movie legend. I mean, speaking of hood movie legends, we also get young Doughboy. I believe his name is Baja or something like that in real life. But hey, here he's in a really funny basketball scene. Get a little nigga to fall back. And apparently the main bully, who also appears in one of the other films as a singer or something. I don't recognize this guy, but hey, that's cool. And in fact, this little gang of bullies here, there's like a little subplot. They steal this poor white girl's bike. So, Rocky tries to get Emily's bike back the whole time. And they're kind of had this little love thing going on. It's pretty cute. And then they refuse to give it back the whole movie. It's kind of like a little running gag. And it all adds to that 90s realism because that's exactly how the 90s were. Trust me, I was there. Emily, who of course is charmingly portrayed by a young Kate Sargent. And when you consider that they also cast WWE legend Professor Tanaka and 80s legend himself and writer of the Strangest Two Corys film, Patrick Laborto, I mean, we have one legitimate cast of bad motherfuckers. And of course, the casting of Tanaka would be the first time the franchise featured a professional wrestler, but not the last. However, Three Ninjas would literally have everything going against them. Not just low-rent 90s child abuser henchmen. I mean, I'm talking like real serious issues. And in turn, the film would have one hell of a production. Now, you may recognize the director's name, John Turteltaub. I mean, literally all of us know this guy. We all grew up with his movies, even if we didn't know it. Some people say you can't believe. In fact, his run with Disney was nothing short of legendary, and I think the dude has a real slick and clean big budget style, something I think has suited him well as he is still an in-demand director today. And his style is something that seemingly translated to the bare bones take on filmmaking, as Turteltaub, he really manages to make the smaller production of Three Ninjas just shine. Like, you really can't tell that Turteltaub wasn't as experienced as you might have thought. The movie just seems grand. It seems like a real movie. Yet by the time the Three Ninjas script landed on his desk, he was already an experienced director, coming from what others would probably call humble beginnings. But I mean, a Wynorski scripted Paul Brothers movie, or Hun Brothers, Barbarian Brothers, whatever you want to call them. I mean, I actually haven't seen that flick, but something tells me it's badass. At the time, well, the phones weren't really ringing for Turteltaub, though. As the process of getting a normal 9 to 5 was becoming more and more realistic to him, he kind of started doing that and taking gigs as, a waiter and whatnot, before getting the chance to take on a ninja movie, something that was all the fad at the time. And big business on cable, let's be honest. But, that's not it. The script also heavily featured kids. So Turtletop really had a decision to make here, because that was something else that was also pretty big business, again, especially on cable. So in this post Home Alone, post Canon Films ninja slop landscape, Turtletop knew he kind of had to take the job. Although he really wasn't happy about it, let's say that. In fact, Turtletop saw it as one last-ditch effort to make a few bucks before all but retiring and just taking on a normal life, seemingly thinking that, the business just didn't want or need his talents, for that matter, for anything that was just cable schlock. It must have been a shot to the ego there. So he sucked it up and he kicked some ass. Yeah! Only to arrive on set and find that the producers were all Korean and spoke no English, and the extras were all Japanese and spoke no Korean or English. So needless to say, their work was cut out for them, the whole crew. And man, it must have been a nightmare filming in the midday heat, with mostly first-time child actors, not being able to communicate with anybody on set. But any trouble didn't really translate to screen. Again, this really does feel like an actual Disney movie, even though it was released, by the Disney subsidiaries, as stated earlier. And you can really see the quality of the film shine through, although, yeah, it does feel a little tampered with in the editing bay. Yet production would proceed at a quick pace with a shoestring budgeted cast and crew. A cast and crew that wasn't always reliable, you know what I mean, as the worlds would collide on set, when due to a casting mix-up, one of the actors playing one of the goons or one of the kidnappers, whatever you want to say, well, one of them walked off set as they weren't happy with their role. They thought they got one of the other bigger roles, as there's only 3 of them. I don't know what the hell he was thinking, but this became a huge problem. I mean, the day was planned out with certain setups and things that had already been shot and whatnot, and thousands of dollars per minute, seemingly. That's how movies work, right? But the day was saved when the film's camera operator, DJ Harder, another great name, well, he volunteered for the spot. Like, he literally overheard them discussing, walked up to the casting guy and said, "I can do it," and he got the gig. They kind of shot around him a little bit, because they weren't sure about his acting chops, but he wound up shining on screen and kind of stealing all those scenes. He really takes the part of the airheaded California kidnapper and just kind of runs with it. It's fucking funny, man. Now, I get that this is simply a nostalgic movie for most 90s kids that grew up with it. I mean, the second act, House Siege, was mapped out to remind us all of Home Alone, and it did. I mean, they had booby traps and everything. I mean, great scene and whatnot, but as I stated earlier, I was already familiar with the more violent cable ninja movies, and I was very appreciative in that the film's third act, it really does take on a lot of those tones. And I imagine Disney did their best to edit the violent vibes in this shit, but a lot still got through, especially in the international version, a version that had a lot more balls, as it didn't feature the cartoon noises and stuff like that, and they let the kids handle a little business. And we even get a pretty high-stakes cinematic fight scene between a Dollar Tree Terry Silver and Grandpa Victor Wong, who again performs all of his own martial arts and stunts in the film. I swear, look at that guy go. Huh. These dudes are trying to kill each other in this kids movie. By this point, the kids are brutal animals themselves, they've had their lives threatened multiple times, and they basically turn into killers. Colt even uses a fucking sword. Hell, the movie even ends with Rocky turning straight gangsta and kicking Lil Doughboy's ass to get his fine Ruka's wheels back.
Get a little nigga to fall back.
By some miracle, the film was completed, and then, the unknown John Turtletop prepared for normal life, all things considered. And, I don't know, he only hoped that he wouldn't be known for this embarrassing little kids ninja movie, who wants to be known for that? And chances are, I guess he was thinking, not too many people would even see this thing. What the hell? It's probably destined for video, right? That is, until Disney themselves came a-knockin'. For some reason, they liked the movie enough to buy it, and I think they must have had a slot to fill or something, and saw that, hey, maybe if we remove some violence here, it'll do good enough on video. So it was basically going to get just a small theatrical run, not the full Disney treatment, you know what I mean? And that's when Disney and Turtletop were pleasantly surprised. I mean, this thing was huge. I remember this time vividly. When this movie came out, going to see it at the theater, and playing out the scenarios with my friends and whatnot, dying to get it on video and rewatching the dog shit out of it. I mean, I was one of those kids. And in turn, John Turtletop's career took off. And it's nice because he actually credits Three Ninjas for his entire career. Just beautiful. And goddammit, he did a really good job here. Seriously, this thing feels like the more standard for the genre for a reason. And we would see some imitators and some strange overseas rebranding and whatnot. But, you know, it was still all very worthwhile. Yet, one place I thought they failed, no action figures. What the hell? Those things would have flew off the shelves. Seriously. Though there was a video game later on for one of the sequels. I remember playing it. It was pretty difficult. Apparently, it's pretty hard to come by. Anyone have this thing? But we will be talking about the sequels later. And, you know, let me know down below if you want to see those, by the way. Because Columbia TriStar, we're looking to fast track a sequel. In fact, they got co-star from the original, Patrick Laborto, one of the bad guys, you know, the main bad guy. Well, they got him because he is a writer. You know, he did Last Resort, one of my favorite two Corey's movies. Well, they actually got him, and they approached him to come up with an idea for the sequel, and they were going to, you know, maybe let him write and direct if all things went well. And here, he had a great idea, where instead of 3 kidnapping surfers, he wanted to do kidnapping Elvis impersonators. Damn it, I want to see that movie. Each Elvis would have been like a different era. What a great idea for a Three Ninjas movie. I for sure have fond memories of this film, and it still holds up to this day. I mean, the mere mention of Three Ninjas to people in my age group will surely possess at least one from the bunch to proclaim, "Let's murderlize them." And, you know, till this day, I still quote the film's most iconic line, "Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily." Let me know down below if this film is that good or if I'm just insane. And please like and comment and subscribe. I got a bunch of links down there. Check them out. Check out one of these videos that's floating around my head right now. And follow me on Instagram at staunch_TV. Yeah!